everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Aletha with Ribbons and Zippers. If you're new here, welcome. I am so glad that you stopped by. And today I am going to be completing my 4-part series on slopers. So I've shown you how to do a bodice sloper, the skirt sloper, and the sleeve sloper, and they were pretty easy, right? But today we are going to finish it up with the pants sloper. The pants sloper is just as simple, just as easy, and I think that you're going to love it. So stick with me and I'll show you how. Okay, so to start with, we're going to need to have some tools. We're going to need to have our pencil and our see-through rulers for sure. And because this is a pants pattern, we're going to need to have a hip curve ruler. So whatever type of hip curve ruler you like. This is a metal one, this is a plastic one, and I definitely am going to need to have my L square ruler. That's important. And I am going to need a yardstick to make my straight long lines. And for me, I'm going to use 2 different color markers that we're going to talk about later. Now, I've cut my Manilla Pattern Paper, which is what we use to draft our sloper, and then we used see-through tissue paper to put over it to make the pattern. However, for the block, I'm going to use Manilla paper. This is a measured out paper of about, 22 inches. And remember, we're only going to use this paper and we're going to work in the middle. So that should be enough. And it also measures about 48 inches. So from here to here is about 48 inches, and that should be enough. Now I've laid out the paper vertically because it makes it easier for me to do the drafting. So I'm going to start from the left side, which is the waistline, and I'm going to move down the paper. Now the first line that we're going to draw is a vertical line with our L square. So I'm going to start about 2 inches in and square a vertical line. Then I'm going to find the center of the line and square down. Okay, so we have our starting lines. Going to start up at the top. I'm using numbers, and the first number we're going to do is 0. Okay, so for this tutorial, I will be using a size 12. So all of my markings are going to be according to the standard measurement of a size 12. So for the body rise for a size 12 is 11 inches. So I'm going to measure from my 0 point, and I'm going to mark this as number 1. So now that I have that measurement, what I'm going to do is I'm going to square across. Now my next measurement is going to be from 0. I'm going to measure to my hip line. So, and I'm going to go from 0 to my hip line, and that's going to be 0. I'm going to mark that line number 2. So I'm going to go ahead and find that point, 8 inches. I'm going to mark my point, and that's going to be number 2, and I'm going to square across. Now I'm going to measure from 0 all the way down to my floor, and that's going to be 41 inches. So this is my waist to my floor, and I'm going to just go ahead and draw in the line. And I am going to mark this point as number 3. My next measurement is going to be from 1 to 3. And I'm going to take that measurement, but I'm going to get half of that measurement, and I'm going to minus another 2 inches. So 1 to 3 for me is 28 inches. Yours will be different. And then I'm going to half 28, which is 14. And I need to minus 2 inches. So I'm going to come up to 12 here. That's okay, so that's my 12-inch measurement. Now I'm going to go ahead and just square across. And that's my 12-inch mark. And I'm going to mark this as number 4. This is my hip measurement, so let's just write hip. This is my rise, either my body rise or my crotch rise, or you could just write rise. And this is my knee. So I need to find the measurement, but I'm going to start at 1 again. And it's going to be 1, and I'm going to go out this way, 1 to 5. But this measurement is interesting because it's 1/12 the measurement of my hip. I get a measurement of 3 3/4 of an inch. So I find this point and I'm going to mark it as my number 5. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to square up. But first, let's see my measurement. I have from 1 to 5, which is 1/12 of my hip measurement, plus another 3/4 of an inch. So now that I have that measurement, I just need to go ahead and square up. Okay, so we have our 0.5, our 0.6, and our 0.7. So now we need to find our 0.8. And to do that, we're going to measure from 6 all the way across our hip line. So we're going to need a measurement that is 1/4 of our hip plus another 1/4 of an inch. So you're going to divide your hip measurement by 4 and add another 1/4 of an inch, and we're going to come up with that measurement. So I'm just going to find that point, that is 9 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to mark that as number 8. Okay, so now we're going to go back to number 6, and we are going to find a point that's our number 9. So to do that, we are going to divide our hip measurement once again, but this time we are going to divide it into 16ths. So 1/16 of our hip measurement, but we're going to add another 3/8 of an inch. So I'm going to mark that, and that's going to be my number 9. Okay, great. So now my next measurement is going to be number 10. So I'm going to go to my number 7 here, and I'm going to measure in 3/8 of an inch. And that's going to be my number 10. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to join number 10. I'm going to join that to my number 6, and I'm going to join it to my number 9. It's important that my curve from 6 to 9 for my size that I'm using, which is a size 12, is going to be a distance from 5. Let's make a diagonal line so our curve touches of 1 inch, 1 1/8 of an inch. So I want my curve to touch this point. When I come down from 10 to 6, I'm going to curve out, but I want to make sure that my crotch touches that point. So let's get our curved ruler. So we're going to curve from 10 from 10 to 6 and from 6 to 9, but I want to make sure that I touch that curve. And so I just cleaned that up a little bit. And my next measurement is going to be from now I have my measurement, my 10 point here. So I'm going to go to 11, which is going to be 1/4 of my waist measurement. So you need your waist measurement and you're going to divide it by 4, and then you're going to add another 3/4 of an inch. So my waist measurement, what I have is 7 inches plus another 3/4 of an inch. So 7 3/4 of an inch. And that's going to be my number 11. At my 0 point, I'm going to create a dart. And my dart is going to be 4 inches by 3/4 of an inch. So I need to make a 3/4 of an inch dart, nice and even on each side. So my dart here is going to be 3/4 of an inch. So I made it even in between my point 0. So 3/16 on one side and 3/16 on the other side. And I'm going to measure down 4 inches. So this is the dart for the front. Okay, so now let's head down to the bottom of our pants. We made our point number 3, and from 3 we're going to measure over. We stopped at 11, so now we're going to make a point number 12. So what that measurement is going to be is half of your trouser bottom. Now your trouser bottom could vary to be whatever width you would like for the bottom of your pant legs to be. So from 3 to 12, it's going to be a measurement of 4 1/8 of an inch. That is going to be my number 12. Now I want to go up here to 4. So I'm going to go from 12 to 13. But I need a measurement. So I'm going to take this same measurement, which was 4 1/8 of an inch, but I'm going to go ahead and add a 1/2 of an inch. So I'm going to make a measurement of 4 5/8 of an inch. And this is going to be my 13. Okay, so we're going to start at 3 and we're going to measure out to get our number 14. So we went to our right, now we're going to go to our left. So we had a measurement over here of 4 1/8 of an inch. We're going to do that same measurement on this side, 4 1/8 of an inch. And we're going to mark that point. That's going to be our number 14. So we're going to go up here again to 4, but we're going to take that same measurement and I'm going to mark that, and that's going to be my number 15. So now that we have all of our points, we need to connect our points. So I'm going to go up here to my top. I'm going to start from 11 and I'm going to connect from 11 to 8, from 8 to 13, and from 13 to 12. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to connect from 9 to 15 and from 15 to 14. But now for my pants, I need to curve out the front. So for my curve, I'm going to curve out 1/8 of an inch for my hip, and I'm going to curve in 1/8 of an inch as I'm coming down for my leg. So I'm going to show you where those curves are going to be. Okay, so for on my hip line from this point, number 8, let's make a 1/8 of an inch mark. On the line at 8, I made a mark that's about 1/4 of an inch. Now I'm going to take my hip ruler and I'm going to curve out to that line. And then from that line, we're going to curve back into 18 and down. And there you have it. And then you just want to true your line so you don't have a sharp line. This is the front side seam, and this is the inner seam. My inner seam, I want to do the same thing. I want to curve in about 1/4 of an inch, but somewhere between 9 and 15. So for the inner curve, I'm going to curve, for me, now this curve, I need to let you guys know, could vary. It could be 1/8 of an inch, it could be 1/4 of an inch. It depends on your hips. You definitely are going to make a mock-up or a toile to try it on. But for me, I go out 1/4 of an inch for my hips. Here, for my inner thigh, I'm going to go in 1/8 of an inch between 9 and 15. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a straight line. And then I'm going to measure this line between 9 and 15, and that is 12.5 inches. So I come up with 12.5 inches. So let's divide 12.5 inches by 2. So that would be 6 1/4. So 6 1/4 inches right here is where I'm going to move in 1/8 of an inch. So here's my 1/8 of an inch curve in. I'm going to find a nice curve. Okay, so now I'm going to curve into that 1/8 of an inch. And then now I'm just going to use my straight ruler and go down to from 15 to 14. All right, and so you're going to want to clean up your lines so that they run together nice and smooth. So there you have it. This is my front pant. Okay, so before we move on to the second part of our tutorial, which is the back part of our pants, I'd like to ask you to please like and subscribe, and that way you won't miss a thing. Now, what I'm going to do is I need to use the measurements of my front pants in order to create my back pants. So what I'm going to do is start at a point. I'm going to start here from 1 to 5. So I need a measurement that is 1/4 of the measurement from point 1 to point 5. And for me, that is going to be 3 3/4 of an inch. So I need to divide that by 4. And that's going to be my point number 16. So now from 16, I have my 16 point. I'm going to square up. So the same way we squared up from 5 all the way from our hip to our waist, we're going to do the same thing at 16. And we're going to have 16, 17, and 18. Okay, so I have 16, 17, and 18. So we have a measurement from 16 to 18. Let's go ahead and measure that. It's 11 inches. So I want to divide that 11 inches by 2. So 11 divided by 2 is 5.5. So let's make a mark there, and let's make that 19. Okay, so let's go here to our mark number 18. Let's go 3/4 of an inch over, okay? And we're gonna go 3/4 of an inch up. So we're at 18. So let's mark this, this was 19, so let's mark this 20, and let's mark this 21. Okay, now I need a measurement from 21. I'm going to measure that measurement over. That measurement is going to be 1/4 of my waist, plus I want to add another 1.5 inches. So for me, that's going to be 8.5 inches from 21, and I'm going to create a mark on my line my waistline. So this is my horizontal waistline. So from 21 to that line, I need to measure 8. And so just put your ruler on your 21 mark, and then just move your ruler up. Move your ruler up and come to 8.5 is right there. For me, it's right there. Okay, and then we're just going to go ahead and draw in that line. And don't forget to draw in your vertical line from 20 to 21. Forgot to do that. All right, so this is going to be my point number 22. Now I need to get a measurement for my back crotch area. And to do that, I'm going to measure the distance from my 0.5 to my 0.9. I need to divide that, but I need to add another 5/16 of an inch. So this is a little bit of math here for me. Yours may be a little bit different. So I get 1 7/8 of an inch. So I'm going to move my ruler to 1 7/8 of an inch. And then I'm going to make my mark. And this is going to be number 23. So I have my mark 23. Now I need to drop my back pants leg down from my front pants leg just a little bit. And that's going to be number 24. Okay, so now I just want to connect my points. So I'm going to connect 21 to 19 and 19 to 24. Okay, and then I want to curve, make sure I'm going to make my curve, and I need to make sure that from 16 that I touch that curve. So before I make my curve, I'm going to make a diagonal line that's 1 1/4 inches. So that point is where I'm going to touch my curve when I curve down. So I'm going to work with my curved ruler once again. So 21 to 19. Okay, so let's connect 21 to 19. And then I'm going to connect 19 to 24. Sometimes you just gotta play around until you get that curve. So that's my curve for my 21, connect to 19. 19, I have my curve touching the point that I created from 16. From 16, I measured to a point that was 1 3/4 of an inch, and I touched that point. I came down to 24. Now let's move back over to number 17. So from 17, and it's the same thing that we did in the front. We're going to create our side seam, and we're going to do that from 17. So from 17, I need to make a measurement that's the quarter of my hip plus another 5/8 of an inch. Make sure that you're on your hip line. So let's go ahead and measure from 17 over, and then I'm going to mark that number 25. All right, so now let's go ahead and move back down to the bottom of our pants. So for the bottom of my pants, I'm going to start at number 12, and I'm going to measure out from 12, 3/8 of an inch, and from 13, 3/8 of an inch, and I'm going to mark that number 26, and I'm going to mark that number 27. So now let's go ahead and join our front pants. So we're going to connect 22 to 25, 25 to 27 and 27 to 26. So now I'm going to go ahead and from 25 on my hip line, I am going to go ahead and curve out. So I'm going to curve out about 1/8 of an inch. My measurement from 22 to 25 is 8 inches. So I'm going to put a mark at 4 inches, and I'm going to measure out about 1/8 of an inch. So when I curve from 22 to 25, I'm going to curve out about 1/8 of an inch and come back into 25. And so now from 25 to 27, I get a measurement of 15 1/4. So that's going to be 7 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to come in 1/8 of an inch. So when I make my curve, I want to curve in and back out to 27. So in there you have the front, and then like I said, just true up your lines. Make sure your lines are as seamless as possible. Now let's go ahead and work on the inseam of our back pants. We're going to do the same thing that we did on the other side. Let's start from 14, and we're going to measure out 3/8 of an inch, and let's make that mark 3/8 of an inch, and we're going to go ahead and mark that as 28. Now let's go ahead and move up to 15, and we're going to find that mark, and we're going to move out 3/8 of an inch as well, and let's go ahead and mark that as 29. So now what we're going to do is we're going to draw our inside leg seam from 24 to 29 and to 28. From 24 to 29, let's make sure we curve inward 1/2 of an inch. Okay, so let's measure the distance between 24 and 29. And so I get a distance of about 12.5 inches, so that's going to be 6 1/4 inches for me. So we can actually just make a straight line here so we know. And then on that line, I'm going to mark a point that's the halfway point, and I'm going to measure in 1/2 of an inch. So this is going to be my point, my curve. I'm going to, once I get to that, I'm going to curve in and curve out and go back down. All right, so now the very last thing to do is to go ahead and create our darts for our back portion of our pants, and we're going to create 2 darts. So you're going to go ahead and measure or divide your waistline for your back into 3. So let's go ahead and do that. So what's the measurement? The measurement from 21 to 22 is 8.5. So we're going to divide 8.5 by 3. I'm going to use my ruler that has 16ths on it. And we're going to make our darts. We're going to make sure that we square our darts, which means that it's going to be squared on my waistline that is from 21 to 22. Okay, so remember I said that part of the tools that you need are color markers. So how do I differentiate between my front and my back? Well, I do that by using two separate colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a color marker. So I'm going to use the thicker point to go ahead and mark out my front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start marking on my lines. And as you can see, I'm using dotted lines for my front. So you're going to use a line and a dot, a line and a dot, a line and a dot. Okay, and you're just going to keep doing that all the way around only your front. Okay, so here you have it. This is my pants front, and I outlined it with a dotted line from the top all the way to the bottom. And now what you're going to do is you're going to do the same thing with a black marker or whatever color marker that you like, and you're going to just go ahead and start tracing out your back. So the pink for me is my front, and the black is going to be my back. And for the back, I am going to go ahead and make a solid line. So for the back, I'm going to go ahead and start tracing the line that I created. And like I said, you can use the ruler if you want to make sure that you're doing a straight line. So this pattern is for a basic pants size 12. You can find all of the standard measurements online, but as we know, our bodies are totally different. So you want to make sure that you take your complete measurements, which is going to be your waist, your hip, your waist to hip, your body rise, which is your waist to the seat when you're sitting in a flat chair. So your rise, and that's going to give you your crotch rise. So you also want to take from your waist all the way down to the floor. You may even want to take your thigh measurements. If your thighs are a little thicker, then you would adjust the amount of inches you go in. You remember I went in 1/2 inch on the inside, 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. So always take accurate measurements, and you are going to get an absolutely gorgeous pair of perfectly fitting pants. So I'm going to go ahead and complete my black marks, and that's going to be all for our pants. Okay, so here you have your standard size 12 pants pattern, and it's so simple, very easy to do. And let me just show you, this is how easy it is. All you have to do is trace out your pants onto your pattern paper. It's very easy. It's easy to see through. You know which one is your front, and you know which one is your back. Very easy. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. In the meantime, please check out this really awesome step-by-step slide that's going to show you everything of how to put together your very own pant sloper that's going to fit you perfect. Thank you so much for watching. Please come back again so that I can share with you some really awesome tutorials of how to sew special occasion wear.